Thank you everyone who has decided to join in for this training on our new recruitment platform called TeamTailor. We are around 40 participants in the meeting right now, expecting more people to join. If you want to revisit this material that we will go through today, you are more than welcome to do so, as we will be recording it. We will also then be uploading it to the SharePoint site where we share all of the content that we have for this implementation. Before we start off, or for the outlining of the call, I will just do a short introduction about, okay, why are we changing systems? What are we doing? Why are we doing it? And then I will actually hand over to Cherry, who is our spokesperson from TeamTailor, so the system expert from the TeamTailor perspective, and she will guide us through the system and how it looks. And don't be freaked out or stressed out if you don't get everything from the start. All changes, all new system takes time to learn, and we know that. But both me and Maddie, Sherry, and then the remaining HR BPs will also guide you through this journey. So this is just for you to get a first glimpse of the system, how to use it, and what you can do with it. And we hope that you will feel as inspired as we do. So given that, I wanted to kick us off with just a short introduction. And actually starting off with introducing myself. Most of you, or many of you, have already met me in different capacities. My name is Matilda Vellenbrook, and I joined Phoenix roughly now 1 year ago, 13 months, I think, actually, just before Corona hit us hard. And it's been a roller coaster year in so many aspects, but it's been a very fun year because I get the opportunity to work with all of you amazing hiring managers every day. Since October last year, I'm actually heading up the global team or a team in global HR, so the HR department focused on talent acquisition, that is essentially recruitment, and also onboarding, and how we can develop, our processes and procedure to work towards even better experiences, both for candidates, so the people we want into the organization, but also for you as hiring managers, because the biggest thing that HR is here for is to provide you with the guidance and tools you need as a hiring manager and as a manager to do your job even better. So that's my aim, and that is also why we are having this session. And before we move into the system sharing, PowerPoint sharing part of this presentation, I just wanted to hand over to Maddie, who some of you have met, but Maddie is also part of the global team and will also be our internal system expert for TeamTailor. So Maddie, over to you.
Thanks, Matilda. As Matilda said, my name is Maddie Walton, and I'm based out of Munich. I joined Matilda's team just almost exactly 4 months ago, and the TeamTailor project is something that has been a huge part of my position. And I also handle hands-on recruitment projects and have done that a lot in my career, so it makes me really excited in the operational side of this tool, but then I've also got to be a part of bringing the project to life. It's really exciting, and it's a big leap in terms of functionality and opportunity. So I'm really excited to have you guys here today, and hope you'll be also eager to get started in the system.
And I'm actually going to do a little bit of a shift from yesterday's training and ask Sherry to now actually introduce a little bit about yourself, just so we have that presentation done before we deep dive into this.
Thank you. Yeah, my name is Sharon Osborne, and I've been working here at TeamTailor for over 1.5 years. And I've been doing mostly onboardings and education sessions, and also being contact person for a lot of companies. So I've been working together with Maddie and Matilda to get this ball rolling and get you guys started in the new tool, TeamTailor. So it's going to be fun to show you guys the capabilities and how you can work in the tool. But as Matilda said, don't get too scared. You don't have to know everything to use it.
No, one of the best parts of why we actually chose TeamTailor is also because they have an amazing support function and a lot of information about how to, even enhance and use the tool even better, which is great. So kicking us off, I would just like to spend a few minutes, like I said at the beginning, to, make you understand or to transfer the information about why are we shifting systems and the business rationale behind it. So I will just share my screen with you guys. And then I will go down here and go up in presentation mode. So let me know when you can see my screen.
We can see your screen.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for that. So why are we doing this? I think that there's a multitude of reasons as to why we are working with how we recruit, and also then prolonging it, how do we onboard people into the organization. It all comes down to experiences, essentially. I mean, in order to reach our 2025 goals and also beyond, we need to ensure that we recruit the kind of best possible people out there who are right for the positions we have. And then, of course, we need to install different practices and tools in order to do that. So hence, that is why we're also shifting focus now from having two separate systems, which we've had up until now, to a new state-of-the-art platform that will help us not only to handle applications, to drive recruitment processes and to look at candidates. It's also about creating possibilities and creating talent pools, building career pages, and so on. So today will be for you an introduction into that tool and how you will be able to use it as hiring managers, and all of the information that you will need will, as I've said, will be shared on SharePoint afterwards. And some of you may have already found your way there. So what is the recruitment experience of tomorrow? I think that whenever you do something, you need to kind of boil down, okay, what do we mean with that? But I think that everything we should do, regardless if we're working towards a user of our product, so someone, from the development of products to how we sell products, we should always think about the user, right? And in this case, what we found out was that, the users are, in this case, of course, the candidates applying to us. So the people who could be our colleagues tomorrow. And just as we want to enable people to, create and experience great experience outdoors, we want to ensure that our candidates experience a smooth and professional hiring process, regardless if they come from external, i.e. they're applying to us, or if they are internal candidates also actually applying. But it's also, a big focus on you as hiring managers, because in order for us to actually be able to increase and create the experience, the recruitment experience of tomorrow, we also need to work with tools that matches our needs and that matches your guys' needs in order to make it even smoother. But why have we chosen to work with TeamTailor then? Well, I mean, there are many reasons for that, but one of them being, focusing on increasing awareness and attraction of candidates. And we wanted to do that by developing or getting the opportunity to develop visually compelling and informative career pages, because that is one of the biggest things that we need to do in order to attract people into the organization. And then for the upcoming 2025 goals, but also for our long-term hiring needs and your guys' needs to fill and staff your teams, we wanted to focus on nurturing talent for upcoming recruitments. And that we can do through great talent pools that TeamTailor also have. And that means that you as a manager will at all times have access to the talent pool you need for your certain department and be able to engage with candidates in a new way. And also the recruitment experience of tomorrow, and why we've chosen to go with TeamTailor. Well, we wanted to focus on using smart tools and also joint practices. So being able to put in templates on how we communicate, how to interview, and so on, which we hope will help us decrease the time to hire and the cost of hire. So time to hire, of course, reflecting back on the candidate experience. But also, if you spend a lot of time in recruitment, that's also time you could have been spending on something else. So as hiring managers, we want you to be able to focus on the bits and pieces of the recruitment process that really, really make sense. And also for your HR representatives, because they are also working very closely with you. Some of you may be driving a lot of the recruitments yourself, and some of you may be working a lot with your HR managers. That differs a little bit depending where you work in the organization today. So with that said, what do we then need? I think I touched upon a lot of this already, but we want to work with more efficient processes, and hence we're implementing a system that supports that. We also want to create this experience by being even more clear when it comes to communication and responsibility. So who does what in a recruitment process, and what templates do we have to use, and so on? Who is responsible to do the certain steps? Because I think that can also clear a lot of things out for you guys and ensure that we all get the best of experiences. Empowered and informed hiring managers. You know what? You guys are the ones who will be working with these people, and we want to empower you, as I said in the beginning, to ensure that you can do the best hiring decision. Because in the end, you will be the one who makes the call of who is joining your team. So we want you to be able to do that in the best possible way. And we wanted to have a system that, you know, supports seamless integration, automated processes, and also insightful analytics. Because as many of you know, we are working to become even more data-driven in how we take decisions. And that also goes for recruitment. That also goes for the people, you know, how do we assess people in the organization? How do we make sure also that the different systems we have are interconnected? And hopefully this can actually lead to, you know, excellent experiences in the end. With that said, we will soon go into TeamTailor and deep dive into the platform. And I really hope that you're as excited as we are, even though it's like, you know, the 4th or 5th time we see the system now. It's still as exciting every time, because you always learn something new. But through this session, we will be able to collect questions. So we will take them in the end of the session. Turned out that is, I think, the best option, because, you know, questions may be answered as we go throughout the session. So what you can do now, come again? I think you can go, so the instruction here is to go to menti.com and use the code 90078240, or you scan the QR code now. Hopefully that works in the presentation with your camera. Maddie will also put this in the chat, so you have access to the code and the link. But ment.com 90078240. With that said, I am going to hand over to Sherry for the introduction to TeamTailor and the system. And then in the end of the session, we will go through, you know, some of the next steps, show you where you can find information about the implementation, and also actually show you a sneak peek of our new career page for Phoenix, which we hope to also get a little bit of your feedback on. So over to you, Sherry.
Thank you. Let me just share my screen and we'll get started here. Let's just take the entire screen. There we go. So what we're looking at right now is a career page. It's my demo page where the candidates would come in and read more about the The open positions, all of those things to be attracted to apply to your company in an open application, for example. But what we're going to be looking at now is how you guys are going to be able to work in the system. So to log into the system through the career menu, and then.
So those of you, sorry, Sherry. Can those of you who are not on mute, please mute, just so we can, enhance the experience for everyone else. So please, everyone, check your microphones once again and mute.
Okay, perfect. So you can log in to your system through the career menu and then employee login. And this will be working with SSO later on, so you can use your own credentials. So let's just hop into the system. This will be the first view that you see when you log in. It's called the dashboard. It's always good to have a look here to see if there's some guidelines or information that could be good to take part of. And you will also see your own jobs that you're either part of in the hiring team or that you have created as a recruiter for the job. And you will also have your to-dos here, which is something that you can add to candidates in the system. If there is something you need to do on that candidate, you can easily hop to that to-do later on. And what you will see is the job tab up here, the candidate tab, which will be the candidates that you have had access to or have access to. And then you have your profile up here in the right corner. And in here we have the profile, which we will go through, and also something called employee dashboard. So I just want to start off with the employee dashboard just a little quick. Here you can see all the jobs that has been posted in this platform or for the career page. And you can have a look at these and apply, for example, to internal jobs or the normal jobs as well, which you also can refer people to if you know someone that would be a great match. Once you referred it, someone, you will be able to see your own referrals here and how it's going for them in the process. Let's go up here to my profile. So in your profile, you can all upload a picture of yourself. You can also go in and edit your profile if you want to add maybe a phone number, your title, and also if you want to add a little bio about yourself. And I think that Maddie and Matilda, they have a little thought about this section to showcase you as colleagues on the career pages. So there might be a structure of how to fill in the bio later on. And then you also have settings. In here, you can edit your email signature. So the signature that will be sent from your messages within the system. And if you prefer to have any other language just for yourself in the system, you can also change that here without affecting your colleagues. And then we have notifications. So here's where you decide, when do I want to get email notifications? When do I want to get a notification through the mobile? Because we have an app that you can download both for iPhone and Android. And if we go down, you have notifications for when you're part of a hiring team and also if you're the recruiter of a job. So here you can simply unmark if you don't want to get email notifications. You will also have your notifications up here in this bell. And the last tab here is connecting your calendar. And I know that Matilda is working on being able to connect it more on a broader perspective for the entire company. But as of now, this is something that needs to be connected through each profile. But this will allow you to send invitations to candidates smoothly within the system for interviews, for example. And we also allow for a few video services that you can connect, such as Microsoft Teams, Google Meet, Zoom, and GoToMeetings, and also our own video tool. And here you're able to set your availability. So if you don't want to have any interviews on Wednesdays, for example, you can leave this unmarked as pink. So the pink slots is what the calendar will be looking at for available times in your calendar. But let's say you want to hire a few people to your team. And to do that, you will first need to set up a new requisition. So if I press this new requisition, I will get a form that I need to fill out in order to be able to create a job later on, either yourself or with the help from HR. So once you fill this out, depending on what kind of department you take and what role, you will see who will be the approver for this requisition. And it could be one person, it could be several person, it could also be a list where it has to go through a certain way until it has been approved. And here you can also, if there is any additional questions to the requisition form, you will find them down here. So once you're done, you can submit the requisition here. So let's just go back and see the requisitions I have already submitted. So you will be able to see them up here in the tab right next to jobs. So here we can see that I've submitted 2 requisitions already, and one is awaiting an approval. So this is what the approvers will see. They will see the short summary of the requisition, and then they can either approve or mark it as not good enough, and it will be sent back. And I can also have a look at the approval flow. So here I see it's only me that needs to approve it. And if I try to make a job, I'm not able to yet because this has not been approved by everyone. So let's go into one that has actually been approved. So once the requisition is approved, you will of course get an email notification that it has been approved. So you can go in and create the job or get help by HR to create the job. So if I go over to the job section, all of a sudden I have this button that I'm able to create a job. And if I press it, I will have a few templates available that I know that they've been working on that will be in place for your accounts as well. So it will be templates for different roles, for example, or you can decide to create a new one, but it will already have some settings pre-filled to help you out and make it more smooth and efficient. So I will just go to a job that I have already created and edited because it's the same form that you would go through if you create a job. But this will have a little more information pre-filled. So in the first section, job posting, it's the normal thing, title, the description of the job. You can add pictures or GIFs or maybe link to a YouTube video, for example. And then you fill out in these forms as well, the department, the role, and this might be already set in the template, so you don't have to really do so much on this stage. If you want to showcase any colleagues on the job ad as well, you can add them here. So once we're working on this job posting, you can always save it and then press on the eye down here to see how it would look for the candidate that comes in and reads about the job description. So if we scroll further down, you will see the colleagues that are showcased here for the job. So they are working within that department already, for example. And that's just because candidates are curious. They would like to know who would be my colleagues when I start working here. And down here, you're able to decide which picture you want. And this might also be already in the template, but just so you know. And if we click on change image, you will have a library already with pictures that are for your company or organization that you can choose from. And you can decide to have it like plain or visual, but I would recommend always using this one because it looks way nicer. And if we go over to application process, this is what you want to get from the candidate. So should it be mandatory to send in the name, the phone number, all those things you can decide here. And if there is any additional questions you would like the candidate to fill in when they're applying for the position, you can add those here. So if we open select question, you will have a few options that has been used before in the system. And if you can't find your question that you want to have, you can always create a new one. And then you decide the answer type of field, like yes and no, and write your question. Once the question is added, you can decide if it should be mandatory or optional. If we scroll a little further down, you will see that the auto replies are already in place. So when candidates apply to the job, they will also receive an email thanking them for the application automatically. And the same is for when you're rejecting candidate. There's already a template in place that will be used when you reject them.
And just a comment there, Sherry, all of these templates, both when it comes to, job ads, when it comes to these reject messages and all the messages to candidates will be developed. So you will have access to them in the system, when you start working with your recruitments. As for the job ad templates, we are working now on actually creating a library of job ads for a lot of the positions across the company. So that is something that we're working with from global at this point. So all templates may not be ready by launch date, but that is something that we will work with now throughout April to get in place. But if you have any questions about this, you're more than welcome to ask your local HR representative or reach out to me or Maddie.
Then this is the part for the application, which we've gone through. So now when we're done with this, let's move on to stages. And that's the recruitment process that you want the candidate to go through before they eventually reach hired, which is the last stage here. And these will also be in the template. So you don't really have to think so much about it. You can just have a look at it and see the process steps. And there's a lot of cool feature that you can also add to each stage that we will have a look at when we're inside the job, where it makes a little more sense. And then you have the hiring team, who's going to be part of the team and help out with the recruitment. So here you can add your colleagues to the list. So those colleagues will have access to the job in their dashboard, and they can come in and help review the candidates in the process. And then we have something called interview kits. That's not going to be in place just yet for you guys, but it will be added eventually. And these interview kits will contain questions already that you can ask the candidate on interviews, and you can also fill in the template. So you have the candidate's answers on the candidate card itself. So it's easy for everyone to see the answers as well. So let's just go ahead and save this. And you can also, of course, decide when do I want this job post to go out and be published, and when do I want it to be unpublished. And a good thing to know is that even if the job gets unpublished, you might get a few candidates that still applies, and that's because they have sent in an open application through Connect. So they might already have the link to the job. So the link is not dead, but it's just not visible on the career page or job boards yet. And let's close this. If you ever want to use it for an internal job, you will also have that ability here to choose it to make internal. But let's go back to the job list and hop into the process. Once you publish the job, you will immediately be sent to this page called Promote. So these are the channels that the job will be listed on. And you don't have to do anything here. You can only have like a little look and see which channels it will be posted on. And if it needs to have a specific outreach to another channel, like any of these down here, for example, that will be handled by HR. So you don't have to put too much effort here on this page. But we will always have these 5 ones included for free that the job will be listed on. So let's hop over to applications, because this is where the candidates will come in when they apply for the job. So here's the view that you can scroll sideways. Oh, whoops. And eventually you will reach hired over here. And it's a drag and drop for the candidates. You simply drag them to the next stage if you want to move forward with them. And up here you have some other buttons, one here called filter, which allow you to, for example, find the candidates that you haven't reviewed yet, not rated by me. And the reviews are the stars that you can see on the candidates here. You could also filter on particular questions, for example, when they applied. So maybe I want to find only the ones that has a driver's license, and it will filter it out for me. So it's good to know that you have the filter function up here. You also have something called bulk, and this allows you to manage candidates more than one at a time. So I could easily mark the ones that I want to maybe send an email. As you can see, I got this menu that popped up at the bottom. And here I can decide to message those candidates, or maybe I want to move all of those candidates to another stage at the same time. I could do that. And I could also reject them, for example, if I don't want to go forward with these candidates. And they will, of course, all receive separate emails. They will not know that they've been managed in bulk. So let's unmark that. And also good to know is that you can mark an entire field by using this checkbox at the top. Then we have something called triggers. And this is not something you have to put too much thought into, but if you want to have a look at like what kind of automation do we have in place for this recruitment process, you can click on this and see the triggers that has been added. So once a candidate is dragged to the stage that has a trigger, it will be activated and that thing will happen. So if I would drag someone to phone screening, there will be a note added on the candidate card, pinging Sherry to book this person for a phone call or screening. And at the beginning, we have something called Smart Move, which is a really nice way to help you filter out the most relevant candidates for you based on what they answered on the questions that you have had on the application form. So in this case, I want the candidates to have a driver's license, and I want them to have a minimum of 3 years experience, and that they have also worked with SaaS before. And if they've done that, they will be automatically sent to the next stage called reviewing. So then I know that every candidate that is still in the inbox stage have not answered or fulfilled maybe all of our requirements, but it might still be good to go through those eventually as well. And you can also switch between active and rejected candidates up here. So if you want to have a look at those that have been rejected, you can also see where they got rejected in which stage. So let's just move back to active. Up here, you will see your colleagues who are also working in the process together with you. But let's go ahead and start reviewing a candidate. As you might have noticed, we have a little funny names here: Reef Gold Chinchilla, Bronze Snail. And that's because we activated something called anonymous mode to help to a more unbiased recruitment process. So you will not be able to see their name, you will not see their email or picture. And the system tries as good as it can to also hide this from the CV, for example. So if I open Bronze Snail here, you can see that the email is blurred out. There's no picture. And if we scroll down, most of the information here on the left side is good to know has been sent in from the candidate. So you have the questions as well down here, and then you will get a preview of the CV. So in this case, you can see that the name is marked out and the same as the picture, even in the CV, just to help you focus on their experiences and their previous job positions. What is relevant for this job, for example. And if we scroll up, we can go and see here on the activity field on the right side, all the activity that's been happening on this candidate. If it's been moved, you can also see when it applied, and usually you will also see what channel they came from here, if they applied through Facebook Jobs or Google, for example. If we go to notes, this is where you will review the candidate and write your own thoughts about the candidate. And you can also ping your colleagues if you want to ping a specific person in the team. If you would like to have a more hidden note added, you can always use this feature here. So right now it's visible to everyone, but I can choose to only have it visible for the admins in the system and the recruiter of the job here. So let's go ahead and mark it as everyone again. If you have any files that you would like to upload, you can also do that here through the attachment. So you will find the files both under notes, and at the bottom of the candidate card, you will have internal documents. If we go over to messages, this is going to be the inbound and outgoing communication that you will have with the candidate. So as we can see here, the candidate receives the email when they applied automatically, and then I can start emailing the candidate if I want to here. So it's the title of the email and then the content. And here you can also use templates, for example, if you have any templates in the system that you can use throughout the recruitment process as well, they will be visible here. If you would like to send out questions to the candidate, further questions to collect more information, you can also add questions to an email. So if I click here, I will get the question options here. I could also send file attachments to the candidate and GIF and emojis, depending on how you're working in the organization. And if we go to to-dos, which I very briefly told you about on the dashboard, you can add to-dos to either yourself or to a colleague here. So you can assign it to someone else. You can also set the date when it should be done. So when I log in, I will have all my to-dos listed on the dashboard, and I can easily press on it and I will open the candidate right away and I can start working. And if I'm finished, I can just cross mark it here. And then we have the review session. So here you can write your overall impression of the candidate. And this review stays with the candidate if they apply for a job later on. So it's more of a, how good of a fit is this candidate for your company? And you will also have your own guidelines on how to think about these in the system set up by your HR. But here you can choose how many stars, and then you can write your overall impression. And this will be visible to all your colleagues as well. So if you're more colleagues that adds their own review, it will create the medium value here. And the last part is interviews. So if there is any interview kits added to this job process, they will be accessed through this page here, interviews, and you can open it by leaving feedback. So let's just press Can Feedback here. And you have your questions that you can ask the candidate during the interview, and then you can fill in their response here or a summary of the response. And there's a lot of different questions on this one. We also have something called Scorecards, which allows you to easily review their personality or their skills. So then you can mark the candidate here. And if you don't feel like you really got any response or didn't ask any question that would make you know if they're humble or not, you can also choose neutral, didn't ask. And at the bottom, you can add, of course, extra notes if there is anything else you would like to add to the interview. And once this is filled in, the scorecard, as you saw, the thumbs up and thumbs down, the candidate will receive this color coding as well on the card in this overview. And what's good about these interview kits is that your colleagues can also go in and see the interview feedback here if they click it to open. I didn't do a great job filling it out, but just to give you a little indication of how it could look. And here you also get the scorecard review feedback. So if it's mostly green, the color coding on the candidate card will be mostly green. So you will have an easier time seeing if it's a good candidate or not for this particular position. But let's say I would like to interview Darius. I could use the schedule function up here, schedule meeting, which brings me to this next page where I can write the title of the email. I can either invite the candidate to an interview with myself, or I can choose a colleague from the list here. It's only good to know that they need to have this calendar icon or else it won't really work. And then you can choose if you want to have a video meeting. So if I enable that, I will get my options here as well. And then you can write the email to the candidate that will be sent out together with this invitation. And you will see your availability in the calendar down here. And then you can choose which times you want to send out. And you don't have to be scared that you're going to double book anything, because if I would book something on Tuesday next week, for example, at 1, it will just not be available anymore for the candidate to see that time or book it. So it's always live updated. But let's say I don't need an hour, 30 minutes is enough for me to go through maybe a phone screening. Then I can change this to 30 minutes. So what I did was clicking the grid settings down here. And now you can see I get a lot more blocks that I can choose from. And once I'm ready, I can send the booking form to the candidate. And it's a really nice candidate experience being able to choose a day that fits you and a time that fits you, because it can be hard sometimes to be able to make it to interviews or puzzle it with your life. But that's the meeting part. If you would like to share a candidate, you can also do that through this sharing function, meaning that you might want to send this candidate for reviewing to someone that is outside the system. And then I get to choose what kind of information I want to send, and I can click generate share link. And now I already have one here since earlier, so I can just open that. So this is what the person outside of TeamTailor would then receive about the candidate. So it's the name, the answers to the questions. You can also attach the CV so they can see. And if they want to leave a comment, they can write their name here and their comment, and this will then be seen on the candidate card in the system. So that can be good to know. And let's move back. We'll take this stage. When you're reviewing the candidate, you don't have to open and close the card every time. You have the arrows up here, which makes it smoothly to just keep reviewing the next candidate in the pipeline. And if I don't feel like Bronze Snail is a good match, I have the reject button down here. So I can click reject, and then I can choose the reason why we're rejecting. And this is nothing that the candidate themselves will see. So it's only for internal analytics. So maybe you will see that, oh, we are rejecting a lot of people because they're too junior. We have to like rework the job ad to make it more clear that we're looking for a senior role or a senior person. So let's take too junior. And I want to send an email when I reject this candidate to let them know that they did not go further along in the process. And it can be time sensitive sometimes to reject someone right away after you receive the application. So then you can also set a delay to maybe a day later, for example. And you can always press up customize message if you want to have a look at the email they will be receiving. So that's that. And if I would like to move this candidate to another stage from the candidate card here without doing the drag and drop, you can also decide where you want to put them through this section. Sorry, I just had to take a drink. And as you can see, 2 overdue, 1 overdue. That's also a feature to help you not leave candidates for too long in certain stages. So that's something that can be activated through this cogwheel in the corner. So here I've activated guide time for 8 days. So if a candidate is in this stage for more than 8 days, I will get this little notification, and they will also have the bell on them that tells me how long they've been in the stage. So that's a little more about that. And if you would like to quickly reject a lot of candidates at the same time, you can always use the bulk feature here and then reject, which can be good to use when you're trying to clear up the job after you've finished hiring someone. When you do hire someone, Daniel Damstrom, he's ready to be hired. You drag them to the stage. You will also get some confetti to celebrate in the system that they got hired. But let's have a little look at the other tabs that are available inside of a job process. Up here, you have something called Collaborate. Here's where you and the hiring team can talk to each other about the recruitment process. It doesn't have to be specific to any candidate. It can more be about the job itself or how the recruitment process is going. Is there some goal that we have? You can set it in here and pin the message. So it will be placed on the top here of your chat or collaboration board, so to say. And you can also upload files or ping team members. The activity tab will show you what has been going on in the job, who's been moved, all those things. If someone added a note, for example, or invited to an interview. Then we have calendar. So if you have booked interviews, you will be able to see those in the timetable here. So that can be good if maybe one of the recruiters or hiring managers are sick, then maybe someone else needs to step in and take that interview that day, and then you can go in and edit the interview invitation. And the last part here is analytics. So this will help you get some more insight to the job itself. Since this is a demo account, my numbers are not super up to date. But here you can see all your candidates, how many are in the inbox, how many are somewhere in the process between inbox and hired, and how many have we rejected. And as you can see here, we also have a funnel. So how many have been viewing the job ad? What is the drop off? How many did apply? And you can always open these widgets to get a little like clearer view of it. And sources, you will be able to see what type of channels did the candidates apply from. And once you start reviewing the candidates, adding stars to them, the rating, you will also get a clearer indication which channel is giving us the best type of candidates. So you also know like which one should we focus on if we maybe want to buy a job listing and pay for it and promote it more. Then you have the pipeline overview, which gives you an indication of how many people were in the stage, when did they get moved to the next stage, And you can also unmark the ones that you're not interested in viewing, for example. But you also, of course, have the ability to open the widget to see it more clearly. How many did we move forward? How many were moved back and rejected, etc. You will also get an indication for the average time that the candidate spends in a stage, for example, inbox, or how long it takes for them to get rejected. And you will have it for every single stage down here as well that you've added. So here you can see the minimum days, the maximum days, and the average days. And this is just to help you also get notified if there's a certain stage that takes too long. Can we do something to make it more efficient, to make the candidate journey even better? And down here you will see the reject reasons. We'll give you this little donut chart. And here you can see how many did we reject due to lacking qualification, 40%. It's 2 candidates in this case. And again, you can click it up to see it clearly if it's a hard time seeing it through the donut. And if you have activated and using MPS, which is basically sending out this little survey to the candidate asking how likely is it that you would recommend a friend to apply for a job at Phoenix Outdoor, for example, they can score you from 1 to 10. You will be able to see that here. And then you can also see everyone that you have hired. Unfortunately, I have deleted that candidate, but in your analytics, it's going to be much more up to date because it's not going to be a demo account. And here you can also see the hiring team members, what they have done in the job. And you can see exactly how many moves they done, for example, or how many they rejected, how many they hired, for example. And let's move back here. So let's say that we're finished with this process. We've hired someone. Then we want everyone in the process right now to get notified that we have filled the position, for example, and they have not moved forward in the process. Then you can just mark everyone at the same time and then go ahead and reject them to make sure that everyone got a response. We want this job to be no other candidates in this view except the hired one. So once that's done and you're finished with the process, you can go up here and archive the job. If you want to keep working with the job recruitment but not have it posted on job boards or your career page, you can always choose unlisted. But this is what I mentioned before. If someone have the link already through maybe a connect email, there might come in some candidates still. And what's always good to know is that we have this support that will always be here for you when you're working in the system through the pink chat bubble in the right corner. So here you can start a chat and they usually respond within 2-3 minutes. They're really quick. And if you want to search for maybe a function that you forgot about, you can also do that through the support articles here. So let's say I want to find more information about triggers and it will give me the articles. So you can read them directly here. But this is a little small. So if you want to read it in a little bigger section or page, you can always go to Help Center up here and it will navigate over to our support page as well. And then you also have access to this part called candidates up here. So this is all the candidates that you have had contact with throughout the jobs you've been part of or hiring teams that you've been part of, or if HR have set up a team within the system that allows you to access the open applications as well, people that have connected to the company or your specific department, for example. And if we open Michaela here, when you're reviewing a candidate, you always have access to a field called tags. So here you can put in information or skills or whatever that you would like to be able to find later on if you're working in your talent pool. So if I go ahead and click here, I will see the tags that are available that have been used before. And you can also write new tags, but there might be a certain way that you're supposed to work in the system. I'm not sure if everyone can just add their tags as they want or if it's going to be more structured. But it's just good to know that you have the tag section here. And why these tags are good is because in this candidate bank, you will be able to go to filters. Here you can filter on basically everything you might want to find. But in this certain case, I want to find people that I have tagged with, for example, account management. and that will filter those candidates for me. And if I want to save this section as like a folder, so everyone else that gets tagged with account management will be found in this segment, I can save it. So here I could save account management, and I will have my own talent pool segment then. So as you can see, I already have one called account management, C++ coders, for example. So that's a little bit of how you can work in the system. And you also have the quick navigation up here if you want to jump to a person right away and you know their name, for example, or a job. But that was it for me. And I'll just stop sharing my screen.
Great. Thank you very much, Sherry, for going through that with us. Like I said, you know, regardless of how many times you go through it, you always find something new and exciting, like, oh, I could use that, or I could use that. So I've checked the Mentimeter. It doesn't seem like we have that many questions, actually. So ideally, this was all very, very clear, and you're also astonished by the system that you don't have any questions, or questions might pop up later, but we will all go through them where you can also place those. But one that has come in is the calendar connected to my Office 365 calendar for availability? And the short answer to that is yes. So as Sherry mentioned, we are working on a company-wide solution where we can like connect the calendars automatically, and it would just show your availability and update real time. As it looks now, before we have that feature in place, then you would have to actually go in and you would have to, you know, request permission for the system to access your calendar, and you might need IT's support on that. So that's why we're working to create this, or to make it as efficient as possible. So we will give you, of course, an update as to how that feature develops, but it's a very, very nice feature. So I really hope we will be able to have it in place as soon as possible. I'm gonna let some of the questions come in if there are more questions coming in, but I thought that I should take the opportunity then to just share my screen once more and show you a little bit about where to, first of all, find information about this new implementation. And what we have done from the global HR team, or from our implementation team, is to create a SharePoint. And this SharePoint is accessible through the Leaders at Teams channel in Teams, so you can access it there. And if you for some reason cannot find it, you know, let me or Maddie know, but I think it should be quite self-explanatory when you go to the general tab in the Leaders at Phoenix. Then on your upper right corner, you have a new tab in that section called the New Recruitment Platform, and there you can find it. And here we have information. We have, you know, training for TeamTailor. We have frequently asked questions. So continuously we will, you know, keep on adding questions here that will support you in getting the answers you need in order to work with this tool as good as possible. And then, of course, you have TeamTailor and our recruitment strategy, the things that I went through in the beginning of the call, you know, if you want to have a re-look at that. And here are some, like, you know, important dates. You have the short introduction here to TeamTailor again, and so on. So we try to create a one-stop shop that will help answer the questions you may have for this implementation. And the first time you start using the system for a new recruitment, you will, of course, you know, get in touch, or you may get in touch with your HR representative if you feel unsure. As Sherry also said, we are working with a single sign-on, but we will see if that one is, hopefully it will be ready before we go live with the new career pages and also with the system. But otherwise you would just have to create a login with your own details. But we're working with digital tech to make this happen, and we'll keep you posted on that one. And then I actually wanted to just quickly go back and check. No more questions have come in. Then I wanted to, yes.
Hello, Matilda.
Hello, Dancho.
Yeah, hi. Is it okay if I ask the question right here?
Yeah,
or?
no worries, do it.
Yeah, I was just thinking more from a candidate perspective. when they would come to this career page? I mean, what type of information we as a company from an employer branding perspective we will have to excite the, let's say, the
I'm
candidate?
happy you asked, because I was just about to go in and give you a sneak peek of how the new career page actually looks. Because as I said in the beginning, that is one of the big things why we also went with TeamTailor, because we wanted to create these engaging career pages. And of course, a career page is always something, and we see it as that. It's something that should be, you know, alive. And we have a first version now that I will show you right now. So this would be actually the landing page. So when candidates come in, and it would be careers, you know, .thinksoutdoor.com, and this will be created for all of the sub brands as well. So you will have one for Fjällräven, you will have one for Baitoaita, you will have one for Globetrotter, you will have one for Tierra, and so on as we go by. So the plan is that, you know, the candidates come in here, and the first thing they can do here is actually to click, you know, either connect, and that will take them to this talent pool that we were discussing. So here they can choose, okay, you know, what is interesting you? Are you interested in e-commerce? Are you interested in digital tech? And then you can continue. And what will happen then is that, you know, as a hiring manager, to the talent pools that you are connected to, either through department or role and so on, you will actually get a notification when you get new candidates. So you can actually go in and review, and in that sense also like build your talent pool for upcoming opportunities. So that is one way they can actually, that helps us, you know, dive more into and direct the candidates to the right place all starting off. But then they can also click here, you know, okay, so what are the job openings? But as you said, Dansh, we want to ensure that we have like engaging material and so on. And to be honest with you, maybe the career pages we've had up until now haven't been, you know, state of the art. And that's something that we want to change, right? Because we really see that this is also from a marketing perspective really important. We want to have a unified approach both towards our users and our candidates. So this is the Phoenix one, and this will be the global Phoenix career page. So, I mean, I think that a lot of candidates will find their way to us by actually going into the different sub-brands, and that is also why we're building compelling and informative career pages for them as well. But this is just to explain a little bit about Phoenix Outdoor. You know, what do we do? How do we work? You know, the sustainability that is deeply integrated into how we do. Just to showcase that, you know, we are a global company, our teams are international, and we also celebrate the unique fibers of the culture that we have. And, you know, that we're inviting people to actually take part of that. And then they can click here to actually learn more about our different brands. And what will happen then is that they will come to a page where they can click and, you know, go to the different pages of the different companies. Here we will develop this because, as you can see now, this is very HR heavy, but we will develop this page with testimonials from employees from across the team. And why do we want to do that? Well, you know, essentially because as a person who joins our organization, you want to know which people I will be working with. You know, you want to see faces of people. You want to hear about their story. So for example, let's just see now if this one actually works. But the idea is that, you know, when you go into and click on Maddie, for example, then you will be able to follow a little bit about her trek. So where does she come from? And this can be, you know, develop, or I would say depending on how much information, and in each country this may look different. But this is just to share, like, you know, okay, what was my first memory in nature? Well, you know, it was camping in Rocky Mountain. Why did I join Phoenix, for example? Favorite part of my job. This is also to create engagement around, okay, why should they connect? You know, why should someone then start working in the TA team, for example, or for your team, Dan Show, you know, why should someone start there? So this is just to get a more like personal touch of it. And here you can also say, okay, these are some of my colleagues that are linked to the same department. So that is that. And then, as you all know, well-being is one of the crucial parts of how we work as a company when it comes to the compass and how we work sustainably towards each other. So the well-being part is something we really should lift in the career page. And we've done this through the nature of belonging. You know, one of the things in how we're doing it is through this page, where we go into, you know, our efforts to create an inclusive workplace, because well-being almost always kind of translates or begins with a feeling of I belong, I mean something, I matter, the work I do here counts for something. So we wanted to ensure, you know, people and to inform them about how we work with this topic. And then you have a little bit of a section here, you know, about Join for a Lifelong Adventure, or the Trek of a Lifetime. So, okay, what are people offered on our Trek? You know, what can they expect? And then you have a short link here to the job openings that we have. And then you will be also, this is called a hero when it comes to design, but this is, you know, discovering more about our sustainability process and promise. So what will happen here is that they will come to a page where we discuss more about, you know, how we work sustainably across the group. We introduce the compass and so on. And then you have ready to join the Trek. So these are the different, you know, positions that we have now. They can also click here to join all or to see all jobs that are open. Here we have some featured teams. You can also click here to get all the teams and so on. And then you have a little bit of a footer here, which is about Phoenix Outdoor. And you can also, in this career menu, go up here to learn then more, you know, okay, about these topics. And the nice thing about also, again, a reason why we chose to go with TeamTailor is because we can change this as we go. This is not something that we pay an external firm a lot to do. This is something we can do ourselves. We can add our own content. We can add our own thoughts, our own videos, and so on. So this is how the Phoenix page looks right now. We will also actually, you know, the closer we get to launch, we will also ask for, like, you know, feedback also from external candidates of how they find and how it can become even more engaging. But we will share this link with you through the SharePoint, just so you can also, you know, give your feedback on how you think it looks and so on.
And thanks, Matilda. It looks fantastic. You know, it looks really, really good. I mean, I used TeamTailor a lot when I was actually applying for you know, when I was in the recruitment process myself, and I really enjoyed the experience, and especially the career page you just shown.
That's great.
It's really like brings a different level of experience with the brand, because the feedback we got today, because I was just doing a recruitment, was that, hey, by the way, I mean, if you bring international pool of talents, the corporate side, it's in Swedish only. People cannot find more about Phoenix Outdoor, and I think this is, you know, such a great move in the right direction. So yeah, all kudos to all the team that worked on this. Just want to say.
Thank you very much, Danisho. And I mean, this is something that we saw as well, right? And I know that the corporate page is also, you know, there's some work there in the making on actually creating that an English one. But as you say, as we grow as a business and the more global we become, we should treasure that heritage. We should treasure that we belong to an international group and really showcase all of the fantastic opportunities that we have within this group, because it truly is, regardless if you're working out in retail or you're working in brands, you know, we're all part of one company, and we have our different brand identities, right? That is also why each brand get their own page as well, so we can really kind of like relish that individual brand identity in that sense. But thank you a lot for the feedback, and really valid feedback from that candidate as well. So it's good that this is actually coming. With that said, I will just go in. No more questions. If you have any questions about this and you cannot find the answers to it by using the SharePoint, you can either reach out to your local HRBP for your specific part of the organization. And if you do not know who that is, then we have, first of all, maybe a little bit of another problem or an issue, but then you can at least reach out to me or Maddie to get answers to your questions. And that goes specifically for the implementation, our career page and so on. When you then start using the system, then you should go to and use the function in TeamTailor, because then you will get all the information at once and very fast. And that is also part of your experience as a hiring manager, that you get the support you need very fast. Any other feedback, questions on the presentation today now? Good. Then what I would like your help with, something that we try to do within HR, we're starting to do it even more, is to become even more data-driven in how we develop, you know, these learning sessions, how we actually, you know, can get even better. So what Maddie will do is that she will post a link to a short survey that will be through forms that you can either do now. We will also post it in the SharePoint channel later, but it would be highly appreciated if you could take the time to just go into the chat here and then provide your feedback. So you just copy that link, because I think it doesn't automatically make it a shareable one. So just copy it in and answer that, and maybe Sherry, you can keep the window a little bit open for a little bit longer so that people can actually go in there. Otherwise, thank you, Sherry, for taking the time today. Well invested time. Thank you for all the people out there that has taken the time to be with us. I hope you found this training useful and that you're excited as we are to continue this journey moving ahead. And until we meet again, have a really, really good Thursday. Hopefully the sun continues to shine here in Stockholm and that it continues to shine down on all of you.